Hello, good evening. It's a late one on Saturday night or something like that. Um, yeah, I wanted to talk about uh, some spiritual experiences. How do I start this? Should I get the thingy? I don't know. I don't know exactly what I'm saying right now. Hang on. Let me get a thing. Let me get a thing. La 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 la. Things. Here we go. Not that you could see anything there. Ugh. And I'll just keep the camera away from all the mess that I haven't tidied up yet. Hello. I'm not quite sure how or what I'm gonna say, but I've been going through so much stuff today. So many stories that I've had to let go away. So, I had a bit of a row with my mum today, and it was on a very similar tone to the conversation I had with her when I came out. And it really reminded me of something that I've learned recently about medicine. And I'm not talking about scientific medicine, I'm talking about soul medicine. And some people call psychedelics like weed and magic mushrooms and ayahuasca and peyote, which is like a cactus, and any of those medicinal plant medicines with it. They're medicines because they can help align your soul. They can send you on an experience within your mind to come into accord with what's going on and reveal things. And quite often in those experiences with those medicines, you can get clarity on the stories that you're telling in your mind, and you can heal yourself. It can help you give access into taking responsibility from what was unconscious by making it conscious. And of course, that itself is an ongoing process. And we each have our own different time and karma and processes and habits to unblock that we have to go through. And it's a very messy, it's a very beautiful thing. And trust me, I can relate so much to that. And I'm going to tell you what the big shitty thing that I've been dealing with. The big nasty pooey thing I've had to deal with. So, one of the things I had to deal with today was it was an issue about expressing myself, and my mum, as loving as she is, I absolutely adore my parents. I get a bit stroppy and I get a bit stubborn with them. And that's something that I am really working on. Partly sharing this is partly actually working on that, believe it or not. And it comes down to self-expression. And parents have this habit of you to they don't want you to be hurt. They don't want you to be exposed. They want you to be safe. And when I came out of the closet as gay to my parents, they reacted very poorly, and it took a while, maybe like 6 months, for them really to kind of click and get into it. But I had to educate them myself, and I had to get them to a resource where they could understand and comprehend what was going on, because really they were just trying to protect me in what they fathomed of it, because homosexuality in Australia was only made legal in 1997. So that was and I was born 91, so that was when I was like 6. That's when it became legal. So in their mindset, being in there at the time, they would have been early 60s, maybe, or late 50s, in their late 50s. For that generation, it's a big deal. My point being, we the expression of our authentic selves is our medicine to the world. And something one of a fundamental quote I've been kind of templating what I'm doing in my life at the moment is, how can I be of service to myself and to others? And I've really been trying to focus on my healing journey on yin and yang, and in every situation that I'm coming across in my day to day, I'm asking myself, how can I be of service to myself and to others? And that yin yang, I think, is a very beautiful thing. And just that mantra, service to myself and others, is really unlocking a lot of things. Now, this video is kind of one of those things. Now, my story that I've been going through, which I talked about in a previous video, um, uh, was I was running a bit of uh, a bit of a pity program, since I was a little kid. I I was mucking around as a kid. I got pushed by one of my parents, and I ran and hid behind a closet. And the only way, and then I hid there for 5 hours, and it was kind of an attempt of pity. Like, if I stay here for like as long as I possibly can, I will evoke a sense of pity, and I will get the love that I'm craving from them. Now, that has been an unconscious program that I've been running for my entire life. And deep down unconsciously, all through my teenage years, all through my early adulthood, I have really had this deep sense of worthlessness, that I cannot really get the authentic love that I want unless I run some sort of pity program. Now, consciously, I wasn't aware of that. And so I've had a whole bunch of unconscious ailments and self-sabotaging tactics that have really percolated through and running all that. And I'm still in the process. By no means have I mastered it in really trying to take charge of that. Now, that has been a great curse in my life, and it has caused me a lot of pain. And I'm not going to lie, I have been through four bouts of suicidal depression in my life, and by no means is that uh, it's not a joyous thing. I was going to say it's not a glorious thing, but in a way, it kind of is, because pain is the way that you learn a lot really fast, and there are many ways to evolve and cultivate your soul. Pain is definitely one of the most prudent and condensed moments, like a crucible. It kind of heats things up and melts things and makes rapid change. But of course, pleasure and joy is equally as a valid way to evolve. And sometimes it can happen quick, sometimes it won't. I don't really know much about that. My point, what I'm trying to say is that yes, it's been a great curse, but in doing so, it's actually been my greatest gift. And part of the reason why I say that is because now I understand, I can really comprehend what it's given me. Now, because of this unconscious pity program, I've had a lot of health issues. And those health issues that I've had has really led me to my own spiritual awakening. Um, Through looking up like how to make myself well, I just could not find the answers in mainstream medicine. And that has led me to look into alternative things. And then along that path, I think where I really I started seeing interesting things about like Nikola Tesla and archaeology. I learned that human civilization exists before 5000 BC. There's a place called Göbekli Tepe. I really recommend you look that up. It's shown that human civilization existed at least 8000 BC, but the level of technology indicates a civilization that must have been around for a couple of thousand years before, which puts human civilization before 10,000 BC, which is during the last glacial ice age. Then on top of that, there's been found ruins in Gadam Padang, which are dated at 20,000 years, and and there's been some more around. I think some undersea stuff dated around 60,000 years or something like that. And we're talking about human civilization. Now, these are archaeologically documented things, but you're not going to see them in the mainstream media. So that started really shifting my consciousness about, who are we, what is all this stuff. And part of the wisdom that has come from that era, which I really want to talk about, which is related to my own journey, is mythology. Now, mythology is kind of designed to bring us back into accord, in alignment with life. Now, whether you believe me or not about the archaeology stuff, I'll leave that to you, but at least I'm sure you'll be able to admit that there is a great deal of mystery about life. There are mysterious things that happen to us or around us or to people we know, like, for example, one of my relatives, their husband died, and shortly after their death, they saw lights at the end of the bed. You hear about kids who remember their former life. I had a friend at acting college who had a whole family that she believed in as a kid. We've all heard of different ghost stories or spiritual experiences. Perhaps you've even been experiencing some of these energetic things. I've also posted another video on YouTube, not quite talking about my experiences, but I did write a comment which explains a lot of my own experiences. So I think it's pretty fair to say that these mysterious things do kind of come out. And mythology is one of the enduring cultural traits that sticks around because it resonates with us, because there is something that our soul recognizes unconsciously or unconsciously. So on that note, this is a little map thing that I've drawn. Oh my God, I don't think I can do this with my hands like this. But oh goodness, maybe we can go down here. Ooh, that's kind of nice. That's kind of sweet. Okay, all right. I got my little plant there. It's nice and pretty. Anyway, hopefully I can flip this around. So the function of myth, or any mythological story, and for that matter, any brilliant film that you see, will have these three qualities, these three layers to the thematic storyline. It'll have the mythological layer, which is some sort of mysterious layer that could be represented by aliens, by spirits, by ghosts, by some sort of heightened artistic experience, by some sort of experience, existential experience. Like if it was a film about race cars or something like that, there's something majestic or grand, or, for lack of a better word, divine about the talent and the experience of that person experiencing that talent. Like driving a car and having like a profound divine experience or something like that. Divine to that person and their experience, right? I'm just talking about the experience of the mysterious in life, which is very subjective, can be very objective in some ways, like things like angels and fairies and stuff like that. But the way we experience that inner world of the universe and the divine is very subjective, very, very, very subjective. And that's one of the most beautiful things about this universe and this reality that we live in. And that's why the authentic sharing of yourself is medicine, because it is that unique perception that we all have. We are all simply expressions of the universe, like physical expressions of the universe. Literally, we're made of atoms, we're made of the same stuff as the stars, and my experience is completely unique as to what yours is. And me seeing your stories and seeing your authentic selves is medicine to me, because it expands my awareness and it illuminates my consciousness. It Through your stories, I can see a projection of myself with which I can understand and learn from, and heal and evolve and grow from. And so, in that sense, expressing your authentic self is medicine. So sharing this video, I'm trying to share my medicine in a little waysy ways. Okie dokie boopsy boopsy. Actually, there's in Cinderella, I think the Disney film. There's the fairy godmother. She's like goopity boop a loop a doop a scoopity wop a doo, and that that quality of joy and play is very indicative to a lot of energetic experiences that I've had. It's just it's just very absurd and it's very playful. Now to kind of give that some context so you can understand what the fuck I'm talking about. In mythology, there's the spiritual world. There's the spiritual layer. There's the layer of the child, the narrative of the child, like the storyline, the arc of the child, and then there's the arc of the adult. And what makes a good story is when you see the interrelationships between these things. So the car driver, for example, he's an adult who's kind of connecting to some spiritual experience through a car. What's a good modern example? I don't really want to talk about the Joker because I want to make a different video about that. But there is a moment in the film The Joker which I actually don't recommend seeing. Don't see it. It can be very traumatizing if you just don't see it. I'm going to make another video about it. It's actually a very good piece of art. It's absolutely exceptionally done. But I just don't actually agree with the intention of it. And to have an actor talk about the show and say, oh, yeah, we didn't really know what the motivations of the Joker are, when it is such a disturbing film, is, I think, completely fucking irresponsible. Like, you're going to traumatize your audiences with this deeply disturbing narrative, and then you're not going to talk about it or give your audience any hope and just let them make up their own mind in an already culturally damaged society that is lacking father figures, which the whole fucking Joker film is about. Anyway, that's my little ranty tanty. I'll make another video about that. Anyway, well, the Joker has this kind of transcendent moment of trauma where he comes into a simple flow state, and that's he's kind of a child, really, but kind of is birthed into an adult through the trauma and kind of has access to the spiritual moment. Oh God, what was I actually talking about? That tanty fucked up my flow. So, well, yes, there's the mythological child, the adult. Well, back to me, I guess. Where this issue has taught me, having a kind of, oh God, I'm not actually sure. Oh, well, let me just explain the connections between this, right? So the child, when they're young, kind of readily has access to the spiritual realm, right? And we've all heard those stories, I was talking about the past lives and stuff. There's a time when each child has to their childhood has to die and they have to become an adult in some way. And when they become an adult, they're able to hold the child. And if it is part of their journey, then they'll also be able to hold the deeper spiritual understandings that the child contains. Because there's a lot of divine wisdom in the child because the child is forever in the moment. And part of the gift of sharing your authentic self is when you are really just in the moment and you're being authentic, your inner child is kind of singing, and it's kind of like shining through. And that the wisdom of nature and the universe will shine through you in that moment. And that is what medicine is. And that's kind of, I guess you could call it a medicine wheel. I'm not actually very familiar with Native American culture, but I know they do have a medicine wheel. But this is very symbolic of the mythological storytelling. Um, and yeah, so going through my journey, having gone through all the shit and this curse of this kind of like pity program has kind of taught me a lot, and it's been a lot of how do I heal the inner child. And going into the arts, going into acting, doing clowning has all been a way to understand more and more and more about that. And through that, it has taught me a lot about my imagination, about how to use energetic awareness. I studied a technique called the Michael Chekhov technique, which is a psychophysical technique. And literally in the technique, in order to create a truthful expression in the moment, you use your imagination and you play with your energy body. And that is very connected to Rudolf Steiner, who had a lot of esoteric and metaphysical stuff, who was also connected to Madame Blavatsky, I think is her name. Just little interesting things if you're interested in that. But yes, so this is the mythological wheel, from spirit into the child, that is the birth and the rebirth. From the child into the adult, that's kind of the initiation of life, where you live your ideals, you live your systems and beliefs. And sometimes, quite often, we adopt our cultural beliefs as well. But I think a healthy culture is one that empowers you to live your authentic self. And we certainly do not fucking live in that culture today, ladies and gentlemen. We do not at all. If you look at school, it is not designed to raise you into expressing and being your authentic self. Trust me, I'm a real victim of that one. It is designed to entrain your mind just to work and be a part of this gridded system. And everything I see in modern society is designed to just train you into being a part of the system rather than actually to express your authentic self. Now, there's definitely that quality of express your authentic self and be amazing. It does exist out there, but definitely not for the majority of people. Absolutely, and particularly not in Western cultures. So this mythological story understanding is what we really need in this modern age more than ever, because it helps bring us in alignment to the realities of life. Now remember, this spiritual realm, this unknown realm, which I've called the isness, and the is realm, because it permeates all things, the natural intelligence of plants and cells and just nature, and DNA, how it understands how to grow, all those patterns of energy, all those patterns of behavior, have a divine wisdom. And divine, what I mean is, it is an expression of the universe, and I mean that in a very scientific sense. The DNA understands how to replicate. The miraculousness of that scientifically, intellectually, is experienced as the divine. And that's how you bridge the logical and the intuition, is between your knowing and understanding and your experience. And really, that is the only separation between science and spirituality, which really, truly are one in the same. Yeah. Anyway, I think that's it. That was a whole bunch of blah 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 blah. Yeah. So share yourself, share your authentic self as best you can. Work your way to that. I find understanding that sharing yourself is medicine for the world and for consciousness is a really beautiful thing. It's definitely been very inspiring for me. Hence, trailer video esco. Probably. Oh, actually, I've got it right here. There's my little frankincense stick. have these two little things are really radically changing my life at the moment. Why is it that, what did I write there? Why is it so that I find myself effortlessly, joyfully, and easily in service to myself and others? That's my little personal mantra that I've got a little yin yang there. And another one, I am enough. I am enough. And these two little things, and the reason why I use a why is because your ego can, when that story I talked about in my own journey hasn't been reconciled, those self-sabotaging habits will percolate through, and those self-sabotaging habits are called your shadow. If that's one way to label it. I mean, we don't have to go into labels, but it is definitely, in that circumstance, it is very handy to have something to label onto. But when you use a why and you ask your mind a question, and I am actually looking for more opinions on this, but this is what I just learned from a lady called Marissa Greer. When you ask it a question, your ego will ruminate on it, and it kind of programs your subconscious. So that's one powerful tool I've been used. But you could just say, I am grateful for being of service to myself and others, or something like that. If you hold that, hold the energy of already obtaining it within you in your meditations, then it will percolate in your state of being and then create your reality through your actions, through your overall impulses, or through synchronicities and other manifestations, if you believe in that stuff. Now, remember, whatever your mind believes, you're right. Because perception is the key to reality. What you perceive is what you receive. I just made that up. I don't know if that's true. This is becoming a little thing that I'm saying a lot. But that's me. So remember, you are enough. I believe in you. I love you. I am very grateful to share this experience, this existential experience of life with you. And thank you, if you're watching this video, for listening to what I'm sharing, because it's a great gift, and I am very honored if you have actually watched it thus far. So there we go. That's me. Mwah! Cheerio.